Nazanin Afshin-Jam McKay is a human rights activist. Hi, Ms. Afshin-Jam. Very good to have you on our program this evening.
Very nice to see you, Vashi.
I appreciate you making the time. I wanted to start off by asking you about the fact that these protests are now entering a second month. I'm thinking back to 2019, when protests in Iran were kind of quelled much quicker, within almost a few weeks. What do you attribute to the persistence of these demonstrations?
Well, that's just it. It is very different, Vashi. This is a historical event. This is a grassroots, women-led revolution. It has never happened before in history, and we have to get it straight. This is not just because of Mahsa Amini. This has grown and expanded. This is no longer just Iran protest. This is Iran Revolution 2022. And it's because it expands all across the country. So it's in rural centers, urban centers. It's a cross section of people and socioeconomic classes, people that have been wronged, ethnic minorities, young and old. I mean, we were seeing high school students chanting on the streets, asking for death to the dictator, down with the Islamic Republic of Iran. And it's different than previous protests. We're starting to see general strikes happen, including in oil refineries. And that was what brought down the Shah's government. So there's so much anger and frustration from 43 years of pent-up anger at what this regime has done to the people.
I can sort of see it in yourself too, just as you're talking. You're not distant from it. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate. I mean, I was born there, of course. We left in 1979 when the revolution happened. My own father was tortured and imprisoned by the Revolutionary Guard. So, of course, this is personal. And I follow very closely what happens in Iran. I've been fighting for human rights for over 20 years.
What specifically are you hoping to see governments do in this part of the world that would aid in underpinning what you just laid out, that in making this more of a revolution than anything else?
Vashi, Iranians are chanting down with the Islamic Republic of Iran. They have very clear demands. They don't want reform. And they're expecting the international community to be by their side, including Canada. So I'm hoping Canada will form an alliance with G7 countries and come up with a plan not to recognize this illegitimate government that does not recognize the rights of the people and that does not represent the people. So that means not just don't cut off your hair. It means support the Iranians by cutting off your ties. What does that look like? That means closing your embassies, which we've already done, halting the Iran deal, that applies to the United States, not negotiating in any capacity. It means targeted sanctions, asset freezes, travel bans on regime officials. And it means putting pressure on the United Nations to do something. I mean, the United Nations has been completely quiet in this. There's been no resolutions, no emergency sessions, no commissions of inquiry. I mean, people are dying on the streets. There's been over 250 people that have died, including over 30 children. And so another way that Canada and Western countries can help is in the tech and communication sectors, because as you know, there's been huge internet blackouts. The regime doesn't want protesters to gather together, sharing information on where they want to protest. And they don't want the international community to see what's happening inside the country, the atrocities taking place.
I also wanted to just ask you where the U.S. is concerned. When you talk about, for example, breaking off or not engaging in negotiations for the nuclear deal, and I know that has been a big subject of debate in the United States as well. The counter position that the administration has offered is, it's better to do so in hopes of them obviously not utilizing or not embarking on a nuclear program than not having any discussions at all. What is your response to that at this juncture, given what we're seeing unfold inside Iran?
Now, how I would answer this is that if they would support the people's movement towards a free and democratic Iran, we wouldn't have to worry about the nuclear question. I mean, the reason why it's a worry is because at this moment, the regime officials are fanatic, religious, tyrannical, theocratic regime that not only is not scared about the end of the earth and the question of nuclear issues, but they welcome it. They are Shiite fanatics who believe in the coming of the Mahdi, which is the 12th Imam, at a time of great destruction. So it's a irrational, unstable government. We would never want them to get hands on the nuclear issue. But if we support a free and democratic Iran, it'll be led by sound, good, freedom-loving people that want ties with the West, that are pro-Israel, that would not pose a threat. So they're gambling. You want to keep this regime, then continue negotiating with these regime officials, or do you want a fresh start with a pro-democratic country?
Do you think this movement will lead to regime change?
I honestly do. I believe this is a historical moment. I think that if the international community comes together and supports the people are doing all the hard work. We're just asking for support. The Iranians will do it. And this is a revolution. And if they have the support, then we will see a free Iran. If the community comes together like they had in South Africa, they had a racial apartheid in South Africa that the world galvanized around. In Iran, there's a gender apartheid. There's a religious apartheid. So I believe if the people around the world come together on these issues, then we can see freedom in Iran.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much, Ms. Afshin-Jam. Real pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Vashi.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.